I'm Audrey Addison Williams. Greetings from the United States of America. I'm in sunny California, just a few moments away from Hollywood, California. I want to welcome you to the first Journey of Self-Discovery JSD reunion and to the Business and Life Conference. I so wanted to be with you. In fact, my heart and my soul is very much there with you. I want to share what has been happening with me the last few weeks, and hopefully you will understand the choice that I made and appreciate that I made it not just for myself and for us here, but I made it also for all of you in Uganda, Kenya, East Africa, the motherland, and beyond. And so last Saturday in Hollywood, I announced my candidacy for the President of the United States of America. Wow. And my life has not been the same since. Literally, I've been living out of a suitcase and in hotel rooms and in meetings 24/7. Imagine Audrey Addison Williams running for President of the United States of America. I want to share the process, though, because many of you are graduates of Journey of Self-Discovery, and you know about the life plan process. And so let me explain that 13 years ago, I was asked to do a life plan. It was quite a bit longer than the ones I've asked you to do, quite a little bit more detail. It took me about a month, and I had two people working on the project with me. And at the end of it, I heard myself saying, and I wrote down, I'm going to be President of the United States of America. It felt as though it came through me, as though it came from the depths of my soul and my being, and it frightened me. In fact, it terrified me. From that moment, 13 years ago, I had never spoken the word to anyone, not to my children, not to my closest friends, to no one. However, in the past 2 years, there has been a nudging, a gentle nudging from deep within me that I had something to offer, that I had something that America needed now. Still, I did not speak it to anyone, and I did everything in my power to not pay attention to that quiet voice. 3 weeks ago, a small group of young people contacted me who had heard about the work that I do with One World Rising and the beloved community, and they asked to see me. The second day that we met, they shared with me a prophecy that a woman of color, an African-American woman, was President of the United States of America, and that she had brought the country together with the message of interdependency, with the message of reconciliation and forgiveness and kindness. And I sat there, and my heart was beating so fast. I literally thought it was going to jump out of my body. And while I'm sitting there stunned, two young people both looked at me and said, "We think that person is you. Will you please run?" Wow. I spent 3 days in a massive, major panic attack. And I said, Jesus, if there's anyone else to do this, please let me know. Please, if there's anyone else. And finally, I said yes. Finally, I said yes, because in 1986, I promised Jesus that I would go wherever he told me to go and do whatever he wanted me to do, if he helped me to love my children and to learn how to be a better person. Once I said yes, the world opened up. I can compare it to Martin Luther King saying, I've been to the mountaintop and I've seen the promised land. In the past week, what I see is the glory of the kingdom of God coming to earth. What I see is America, the United States of America, shifting from a material worldview, one of consumption and greed, to a spiritual renaissance, Christ's kingdom here on earth. And I'm humbled to know that I am a part of that. And so are you. Let me first say that once I said yes, help came. Help came in the form of amazing people. Reverend Carolyn Wilkes, who is here with me now. Kenneth Swinker, a name that you've heard before, the founder of Leaders Causing Leaders. He's a Hollywood film producer and my friend. Patty DeDominic, who you also know because she did some training on the web. Marilyn Nyberg, and so many other people have supported me, encouraged me, and said, yes, yes, we the people will, and we have, taken back our power, taken back our nation, and working together to ensure that every single American has the ability to realize their potential. Now, what does that have to do with you? I want to share a story about a little girl who used to have her father and mother sit on the side of the bed and tell us bedtime stories. And one of those stories was how my father, Archbishop Clarence Addison, was on his knees praying for Africa and African peoples everywhere. It was July 19, 1952. And he had his hands stretched and he was wailing to God, asking why were Africans everywhere so poor. He was wailing, why are we on the bottom, God? Why are we the last hired and the first fired? And he asked God, is that your will? And God said no. And God said no. And he was given a vision and a program and the name of a corporation, African Stock Exchange Association Development Corporation. A vision for the economic liberation of African peoples everywhere. A vision of business enterprise, commerce, trade, development. This was 1952. In 1964, in the state of New York, on December 4th, he filed that corporation. As life would have it, he did not live to fulfill his dreams. My father was born in 1898, and his father was born a slave. And though my father had very little formal education, he was a brilliant man and believed that anything was possible. Shortly before his death, he had a vision. And he shared with his children, the 9 that was left, that one of us was to carry on the work. It's been a lot of years. It's been a long journey. But I came to realize that I was that person several years ago. And I've made my first trip to Uganda, January of 2011. And I was touched. I was touched deep within my soul. I was touched by the children, by the smiling faces, by the beautiful women and men, by the energy and the love that was radiating from my sisters and brothers in the Promised Land. And I asked the children that first day to sing me a song. And this song was about education and how they knew that it was their responsibility to achieve a good education, not just for themselves, but for their entire family. And I heard myself saying, I will come back to Uganda, and I will live my life in service to each of you. I was scheduled to return home in 3 weeks, and I did. But I couldn't rest. I couldn't even stay in Santa Barbara. I had been touched by Africa, by the energy of the motherland, by the despair and the hope, the power and the light. I had been changed. And so I went to stay with my son, and 4 months later, I was on a plane again by myself. My luggage never made it, on my way to Uganda, and I met so many of you. I was blessed by so many of you, and 700 of you paid and completed Journey of Self-Discovery. Who am I? What is my purpose? I wanted to be with you today, because today and tomorrow and the next few days are really important for you and your journey going forward. Let me take a few moments and explain. Africa is mother to us all. There's hardly anyone today that argues with the fact that civilization began in Africa. And we're in the midst of a major shift right now, a paradigm shift, and my students know that word. A paradigm shift where what used to be is disintegrating and something new is coming about. And that has everything to do with you, because Africa is rising. Africa is rising, and God has not forgotten you. God has heard your prayers. God says it is time for Africa to rise. But in order for Africa to rise, leaders must rise. Leaders that are called by Almighty God to lead from a place of integrity and courage and vision. A vision that arises from the depths of your beings. A vision that takes the best of what America has to offer, but stands in that place of knowing that America needs what you bring. And so this day and this week going forward is about sharing the vision of what we have done together in the past 3 years. Gary Abel, an American who most of you know and love, took over all of my operations February of last year when Nixon Jet, who had done an amazing job, took a contract in Juba. Nixon has returned to us, and he and Gary have worked so hard with so many people to make this conference a success. Nixon and Gary embody, they are role models, they are way showers for the type of leadership and the kind of leadership that's necessary going forward. And what we have done together is developed additional curriculum, along with Pauline Matua, who's with you from Kenya, and with so many other people, the speakers that will speak to you over this weekend. Some of them are Journey of Self-Discovery graduates. Some of them are certified facilitators. I know all of them. I've met and know each of them. And I want to tell you that you're blessed, because each of these speakers brings to you an important component of leadership, new paradigm leadership. Leadership is no more about what we say. It's not about what we say. It's not even about our education. Leadership is what we embody. Leadership is who we are and how we bring who we are into the world. And each of the speakers, as well as Gary and Nixon, they model that. They are people committed to service. They are people who show up and do what's necessary no matter what. I've traveled with Nixon. I've been with him, and I've seen him overcome so many challenges. And I say to him all the time, Nixon, I want to find 300 people just like you. And I know that you're sitting there. I know that I'm speaking to you now. And so what is important is that you take advantage of the information that's being shared this weekend. You take advantage of the courses and the trainings that are being offered. For people who have completed Journey of Self-Discovery, we want to help you go to the next level. We're starting a series of business mastery clubs. The idea and where we're headed is that we will actually identify, name, certify, and charter ambassadors that will set up satellite offices of One World Rising, Uganda Rising, Tanzania Rising, Kenya Rising, in communities and villages across Africa. These centers will be for conscious business and ageless wisdom. These centers will be a love hub that will connect different tribes, people of different faiths, the old and the young. These centers will create an energetic that will support all of the visions, the plans, the goals for business and community development that arises from that area. And so the process for everyone, we start with Journey of Self-Discovery. That course is 16 hours. It's who am I, what is my purpose? And that's designed to help us understand that our core beliefs, our values, our habits, our attitudes, and our actions inform our life. What am I saying? I'm saying that it's not God up in the sky, and it's not the devil that's creating the reality of our lives. Rather, it's our beliefs, it's our choices, and it's either our actions or our inability to act that have us where we are. And if that's not where we want to be, then to change, we have to look at beliefs, core beliefs, values, habits, attitudes, and actions. At the end of this 16 hours, the information you have garnered, you have gained about your purpose, you will be asked to take that and put it into a 2-year life plan. And there's so many people that have done life plans and have exceeded what they put down. And Stephen Okara, you still have the record for the best life plan in Uganda, in Kenya, and in the United States.